Good evening, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to this special Earth Day session hosted by the Healthy Climate Initiative. My name is Arashi Shah, and I'm honored to be your moderator for today's conversation on youth climate leadership in the Global South. This event is held in alignment with this year's Earth Day theme, Our Power, Our Planet. The Healthy Climate Initiative is a nonprofit that's dedicated to restoring our climate system and securing a more just and livable future for generations to come. Through close collaboration with scientists, academic institutions, policymakers, as well as global partners, HCI works to address the urgent and overlooked dimensions of climate risk. This might be through advancement of novel cooling technologies, the acceleration of carbon removal, mitigation, and the empowerment of vulnerable communities. Its mission is grounded in science, but it's driven by a vision of collective action, one that bridges disciplines, geographies, as well as generations. And that brings us to today's conversation, which is about far more than just youth representation. It's really about reckoning with who holds power in the climate movement and really reimagining what that power can look like when it's shaped by youth and it's rooted in community. Around the world, I think young people are not only raising their voices, but they're building systems, they're shaping policy, and they're challenging the structures that have long excluded them. Today, I'm very excited to be spotlighting two of these voices who are really leading from the front and driving genuine, meaningful, and systemic change. Before we dive in, just a few housekeeping items. This is going to be a 1 hour webinar session. We'll begin with keynote reflections from both our speakers, followed by a moderated fire style chat dialogue. And we'll end with audience Q&A. So please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and also continue asking questions, and we can address them at the end. But we'd love for this to be an interactive session, and we'd love to hear from all of you in the audience. But with that, let's begin. Our first speaker is Desmond Alugna from the Green Africa Youth Organization. Desmond is the Africa Climate and Zero Waste Program Manager for the Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternative, as well as a 2024 winner of the Earthshot Prize for Clean Air. He's the co-founder of the Green Africa Youth Organization, and he's also the former youth advisor to the Global Center on Adaptation. He's currently managing a cluster of impact-based zero-waste city projects across Africa, while supporting communities to develop and implement climate and circular economy models in Ghana. Desmond, you've built movements across Ghana, and your work is now being recognized on a global scale, from the Earthshot Prize to international panels. So, can you take us a little behind the scenes? What does it really take to turn ideas into scalable action, especially in places that are under-resourced but full of potentials, and especially as someone working as a youth leader in the climate space?
Yeah, thank you so much, Arushi, and everyone for this opportunity. And I'm appreciating you for, in general, giving the opportunity for young people to also spotlight themselves on a day like this, which is Earth Day. So I'll start with GAYO, Green Africa Youth Organization, which I founded with colleagues in 2013, 2014. So we are already 10 years in mobilizing young people to take action. In terms of what sort of motivated us and what helped us to scale, I would say that we started very humbly by just bringing young people together to do beach cleanups, to do community sensitization. I was studying environmental science, so it clearly aligns with the work, the course that I was studying, because looking at the environment, looking at waste all over, and looking at people's behavior, throwing waste about. So it was not with the intention of really forming an organization, but it was more about just mobilizing young people to take action. One of the key things or avenues used to be really more about bringing people under the banner of Power Shift. It was called Power Shift because we wanted young people to take up the mantle and really directing how policy should be shaped and what sort of interventions needed to be taken up. And fast forward, once we started realizing that we are teaching people about alternatives, we are telling people about things they shouldn't do, we need to also be telling people what they should do, and we need to be demonstrating. And that's where the zero waste work, which I want to talk about, came in. So somewhere 2018, 2017 to 2018, I moved to a pre-urban area in Ghana. Maybe you can move to the next slide. I want to skip the mission and all those things now, so that people later can sort of go through it. So around 2017, 2018, I moved to a pre-urban area in Ghana called New Edubiasi, mainly to demonstrate how, for example, waste management or sound waste management can be achieved. And at this point, we needed to now really structure ourselves as an organization with clear goals and also with some sort of theory of change. What do we want to do? How do we want to do it? And where are we really seeing in the future as our destination, if at all? And as part of this, we narrowed the whole thing around really providing solutions to pressing environmental issues. Please, let's go to the next slide. So when I moved to this new place, the first thing was really around research. Researching and providing backed up data to back up whatever we believed in and whatever we had been preaching was really crucial, being young people, because I mean, this is a global phenomenon that young people are not seen to be very capable. Young people are not seen to be very knowledgeable. And so we needed to really produce our research and serve the community with data. And so what you are seeing here are city officials in Accra, the capital of Ghana, where I was presenting to them the zero waste strategy that we developed for the city of Accra. And this was actually 2021. Every time we move to a new location, when we started in 2018, 2017, in that pre-urban, we developed a proof of concept on waste management, which diverts all sort of waste from landfills and create economic opportunities for people, mainly informal waste pickers. So when we moved to Accra to implement or replicate the project in 2021, started by producing this research backing tool, which can be called a manual. And since then, it's being used to scale the project to 7 other municipalities in the capital, and also in Kampala, in another country, Uganda, and then in Gaborone in Botswana. So what has helped us to scale this? Please, the next slide. What helped us to scale this is that the problem cut across. In Africa, you see in this scenario in most of the communities, just the outskirts of the country or the main city, you'll always see what you are seeing on my left, which will be your right, where woodworkers, rice mill operators, all those who are processing food, they are dumping the agricultural waste right by the edge and setting it on fire to make more space. And then inside the city, you see where the young man is carrying waste, and behind him is also smoke with a lot of waste. And this is also what is happening in the city, and this cuts across. So having this motivation and having this problem that you can tell people that here is your problem, it can become your solution, was the first motivation for us to really be able to scale things across board. Please, the next slide. And in order to really strengthen and demonstrate that what we are doing, we are capable as young people already, because a lot of people will doubt young people, right? We needed to develop governance structures in each of these municipalities and financial models that really speak clearly to donors, private sector, and also other youth groups and NGOs that we wanted to bring on board, because we built a movement of several NGOs, several waste pickers, and we needed to demonstrate that even in that movement, as chaotic as it may look, we understand structures, we understand how things follow standards, And that was one of the key ingredients for us to be able to gain political will, gain trust, and the trust really helped us to be able to scale across board because we got recommended from one community to another, to one metropolitan assembly to another. Next slide. So some of the pictures now you are seeing as current pictures, we've significantly reduced, and I will speak about impact in my last slide. We've significantly reduced the amount of plastics that is going to the drainages, the sea, and we've also reduced the amount of waste in general that's destined for the landfill. What you are seeing on my left is series of PET and different forms of plastics that are being sorted by waste pickers that we've integrated into the government waste management mechanism, provide them with health insurance, and also equip them with the tools that they need to work with. And then the other one on the left is fishing nets that used to be dumped anywhere as far as they are no longer useful. And these nets go all the way into the deeper sea and also strangle sea life, which is really not helping with our climate action. So we started recovering all these things, educating fishermen, telling them that, hey, you don't need to throw it away. There's a company or an organization that takes that. Next slide, please. As you can see there, we have a lot of women who we are producing compost because we are collecting all sort of waste across the country. So we are really producing compost from the organic waste, and some of these women in the communities then use this compost to do mushroom farming, urban farming of vegetables and different forms of crops using the compost. So this in this photo, they are just bagging it for, and all these people have their small mushroom farms spread across the city, and that is why they are using the Gaio compost. Next slide. And these are just how our composting facility looks like. We have the chamber composting, we have the outdoor vermicomposting, we have the withdraw composting. So we about 193 tons of waste every quarter, and we produce that every quarter. And I think I have figures ahead that I'll mention how much wet waste actually come in, and we have 3 of these facilities, and now we are heading to have 5 of these facilities in Accra alone. Next. So yeah, those are pictures of compost that have been bagged. So the ones bagged by the gentleman are how they are bagged for sale. And so the farmers come and pick it in this form. On the other hand, you see the plastics that are baled. So now we have a baler and a shredder at 2 different locations. We've placed order for 2 new balers because our other locations need balers. And those are mainly PET. Some of it is cardboard, paper, tin, electronic waste, and also HDP plastics. Next slide. Yeah, so because we produce compost, and again, we started by demonstrating to communities how to actually apply it. So now a lot of the community members hire us to train them either to compost at home or to use compost for urban gardening. So these farms that you are seeing, these are farms within the city of Accra, and these are like farms that are within homes that don't really have space to normally cultivate anything. You can see that the floors are all paved or tiled in these places. So most of the community members needed to really find something that connects them to the solution. And that something is that we tell them, you can actually watch your food grow in your own backyard, and you can know what you are eating. And you can apply this without applying any of the synthetic fertilizer. You yourself will see what the difference is, and you can decide whether to continue. and nobody has ever dropped out. They always continue, and some even go beyond, and they buy a small space of land wherever they find it or talk to their neighbor and then expand their cropping activities. Next, please. So yeah, those are still plastics. So those facilities we call material recovery facilities. And we have a number of smaller facilities also called buyback centers. So in the communities across the city, people know where to drop their waste. How we are able to make this possible, we have over 10,000 student base called Eco Clubs spread across 11 countries. And these Eco Clubs, they basically are young academicians who help us to broker knowledge in communities. So whenever we are having campaign, we are having two vehicles. Those two vehicles, one is the informal waste pickers, and then the second is the student body. With these massive number of people, you really can have access to most parts of the communities that you want, and you always have a lot of people who speak the various languages that community members may speak. So you never really have a lot of barriers when we are scaling our campaigns. And the campaign is the backbone of really having people to understand the solution. Next. Yeah, those are more photos from that. Next, please. Yeah. So, like I said, it's our 10th year already. And in these 10 years, the Gaio core staff
We can't hear you right now.
I
Or I
think we
can't.
might have lost Desmond. He was having some power outage issues in Accra, and he was on his last 3% of battery on his phone. So I
Oh my.
think we might not have him for the rest of the webinar, unfortunately. But I'm so glad we got to hear part of his presentation because I think the work that they're doing is just incredible. But I think we might have to move on to the next speaker. We have Prasiddhi with us. Prasiddhi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Hi,
I can
Prasiddhi.
hear you. Hi.
So she's our second speaker for today. Prasiddhi is a 12-year-old student in class 7, and she's the founder of the Prasiddhi Forest Foundation. She's one of India's youngest social entrepreneurs, and she's also been honored with the Prime Minister's National Child Award in 2021, which is India's highest civilian recognition for children. She's also recognized in the India Book of Records as the youngest fruit forest creator in the country. She's also made history by being the youngest keynote speaker at the Harvard Model United Nations in India in 2021. And she also serves as a brand ambassador for Tamil Nadu state government's flagship girl literacy campaign, Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao. But Prasiddhi, you began your journey, I think, when I was still figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. So that's just incredibly inspiring. But could you take us through your journey, give us a little background about not just what you've done so far, which is incredible, but also how you've thought about it and why you got involved with this?
All right, lovely. Firstly, thank you so much for that generous introduction. Wishing all of you a very happy Earth Day. And I would personally like to start by showing a quick video about the work that I do. I don't think screen share is enabled.
I think we might need to make you a co-host. Just give me 1 second.
Yes. All right.
Yeah,
So meanwhile, my journey has been a unique one because it started from a very young age. I'm still young, but even before I could walk or talk, I've always admired nature. And at the age of 4, when Varda cyclone hit the shore of Tamil Nadu, I was so disappointed with the place where I live. Trees getting uprooted, roads flooded. That's when I felt I wanted to take real action. And I started participating in tree plantation drives for 2 good years. And after doing that, at the age of 6 in 2018, I decided I want to do a tree plantation of my own. I took my own mission and I took the target that I want to plant 100,000 trees. So, in this video, let us see how I ended up after taking this mission of mine. This ambitious mission as a young 12-year-old, no, at that point of time, 6-year-old who wanted to make a difference, who actually wanted to create a better future for our planet. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we see the screen.
Yes. Let
Yeah.
me do one thing. Let me also share the sound. Yes. Is it audible?
Yeah.
Lovely.
I have a dream to create fruit forest at schools and make a kids army to feed squirrels, birds, butterflies, and also give fresh fruits to everyone.
Prasiddhi Forest movement. Several people are involved, from students of all age, from colleges to schools or corporates, government officials, farmers, villagers, groups.
Yes. So that was it. A little bit about the work that I do, what I have been doing, how I have been able to take this forward and how that bold dream of mine has been growing forward. And I'm also very happy to share that tomorrow I'll be flying to Paris to Grand Palais for Change Now Summit, which is the world's largest event for solutions of the planet, and I'll be the youngest keynote speaker. So not only representing India, but also the voices of young people, especially children who are often undermined, but are extremely powerful. And amongst policymakers, world leaders, business leaders, a lot of different people going over there who have come from more than 140 countries. Amongst 30,000 people, I'll be the youngest keynote speaker. So today, one second, I wanted to talk to all of you about something that, in my opinion, has been very important. I mentioned to all of you right now that young people are so integral, right? How young people have the power to make a difference. And what I want to tell all of you is that, have you heard of this? All of you might have heard of the term Gen Z. Yes? Yes, all of you would have heard about the term Gen Z. But how many of you have heard about the term Zen Alpha? No one? So Zen Alpha is actually the generation that comes after Gen Z, which is my generation. So I'm not even Gen Z, I'm the one after that. So hello from that. And okay, this is coming again. I want to tell you about my journey, as you rightly asked, of becoming a social entrepreneur, of becoming a change maker. You know how it started from an idea to an impact, what actually is the truth, and the challenges that I overcame. So the first part, that is from an idea to an impact. You always have this dream, you have this idea that you want to do something, but how often does it become reality? And beyond reality, does it actually make a difference. So with that in mind, I want to share the 5 steps that made me an impact creator, that made me a change maker. The first one is be motivated. I realized, as I told you, that nature is the biggest source of motivation. You know how I learned about partnerships for the first time? Today, I've collaborated with brands around the world. My NGO, whether it's Prasiddhi Forest Foundation, my social enterprise, the Green Pillar, or as an individual. But the first time I learned about it was through bees. I saw a bee pollinating a flower and a flower giving nectar to the bee. And that is how I came across this motivation, this inspiration. Or if it was staying updated, which is the next step, because I realized taking a motivation and directly jumping into it will not make it possible for me. So I read books, I read articles, I did it myself, I spoke to experts, I got the knowledge, and this is something that still happens. That's just a little bit of my bookshelf from where I enjoy learning and reading, trying to stay up to date with this fast paced world. And then there is explore. I used my talents in order to achieve my goal. For instance, I was fond of art. So I created art for nature, through which I used to sell paintings. And for each painting, I used to, sometimes I didn't even raise funds, which is fine, but I was able to raise awareness. I was able to share my mission with other people. Or I raised funds by selling bookmarks, paper pencils, grow kits, exploring my talent and utilizing it. Then comes the take action part, staying strong and taking action. Then what happened? I was doing all these different things, but still I was not able to raise enough funds for just my first tree plantation drive, which was of only 500 trees. Imagine, how am I going to plant 100,000 trees, which was my goal. So I said, where are most of my funds going? It was going in the saplings, procuring it. So I said, what goes in a nursery or in a sapling? You need to have soil, you need to have a seed, you need to give it water, and then it grows into a plant. I said, I can do that myself. So I decided I wanted to plant fruit trees because I had this ideology that, have you ever seen any bird or squirrel swiping their credit card in the grocery store for fruits? No, right? That is because they depend on fruit trees. And with that opinion, I decided I wanted to plant native fruit trees. So what did I do? I decided, all right, I will go door to door with a couple of my local friends. In fact, initially it was me alone. Then slowly people started joining. I went door to door. I said, I'll come next weekend, eat the fruit, save the seeds, dry them, and give it to me. And I created my community nursery from there. Then I started my tree plantation drive one after another. Slowly, a lot of challenges came, but I kept moving forward. And finally, I learned about collaborate. How if I do something alone, I may not be able to make a difference. But if I collaborate with other people, I can make a difference. And that is how today at lots of international forums I've spoken, I've collaborated with people, mobilized 80,000 people across 20 countries with this one mission in my mind. And all of this was because this little girl, you see, can you guess who this person is? Anyone? It's me. I think that's pretty obvious. My face is still the same. So this is me when I was about 1.5 years old, with this little beautiful bond with nature, trying to give water to the shrubs in my garden. And that is how from these little shrubs, I was able to transform to creating huge forests that today serve as havens for biodiversity and sequester carbon, support local ecosystems, and create a real difference. And this happened over 7 years. It didn't just happen in one single day. As we say, Rome was not built in one night. It took time for me to be able to do this, to be able to create this difference. And I'm still not satisfied. I'm happy about the change that I've built, but I will keep going on this journey of transformation. So from this idea to impact bit, what we understand is groundwork is the key to success. Just like that little girl, which is again me, who is working in the nursery trying to create some few saplings. Now comes the second bit, which is actually the alarming truth. What is happening to our planet? And why are young people these days becoming climate anxious? Because with social media in our hands, ChatGPT even more powerful, the truth cannot be hidden. We have it on our fingertips. So, what is the problem statement? The truth is that in today's world, you can see a lot of statistics on screen. We face a future where it is predicted that by 2050, there will be more plastic in the sea than fish. Or by 2100, all the rainforests will be gone. By 2040, 1 in 4 children will be living in areas with extreme water shortage. With all of this in our future, in my future, we face this Anthropocene today, this geological age where human activity is dominant, and we face three central challenges: mitigating and adapting to biodiversity, um, mitigating and adapting to biodiversity, then mitigating and adapting to biodiversity, sorry, mitigating and adapting to climate change, supporting biodiversity, and finally ensuring human well-being. The third one we never forget. I mean, human well-being is like our top priority. But we need to look at the other causes that are heating up our planets, which is causing forests to fall and temperatures to surge. So I knew the problem, I was able to get it. And that is why I feel that in today's world, firstly, learning about the problem, identifying the problem is also one of the integral steps. We need to ensure that we are aware, we need to ensure that we know about it. But what we also need to ensure is that instead of becoming hopeful, we shouldn't become anxious. In a world where all of this can actually make us very sad, we should not get sad of it. We should get aware and ask ourselves, what can I do to solve this? No matter how small our actions might be, they create this whole wave of change that can make a real difference. And that brings me to the third point: overcoming obstacles. Frankly, we all know that obstacles are the least favorite part of any journey. But I enjoy it. I find obstacles and challenges as opportunities of learnings, places where I get a learning and then I bounce back and then I make an even bigger difference. So while there are countless I can share just from the day I have had today, I've had a lot of challenges today itself. I can share them with you. But still, in my whole journey until now, I want to share top three. The first one that I want to share is funding. And this is something that, as anyone who wants to start their journey, we all face. Not just start, like throughout our journey. And that is why I came up with this mindset that I will be persistent. I went because imagine, forget even funding, just getting someone to believe in me. Imagine a 6-year-old girl, okay? Just see this picture in your mind. A 6-year-old girl going to lots of different people who are double her age, triple her age, whether they are policymakers, farmers, villagers, companies, communities, school principals, or even a normal adult, going and saying, hey, I want to do a tree plantation, or hey, I want to collaborate with you. Just look at that perspective. Today at 12, when I've been able to make this difference, people are able to correlate. Sometimes even now people don't understand, but I've believed in the power of 1%. I go to hundreds of people, whether it is a big platform or a small platform. If there are 100 people or 1,000 people, I go to them, I try. And even if 1% turns out, that is a big success rate for me. So with that in mind, I was able to solve not only the funding obstacle, but also the demotivation obstacle. Then what happened was building a team. I believed that I need to surround myself with people who will be able to support my vision. Because often it happened that the people around me itself were so demotivating that I was not able to move forward. So for me, it was farmers whom I supported, students with whom I worked, their little giggles, that happiness. That is what kept me going. And finally, resources. I realized, as I told you, about my ingenious solution in the nursery situation, that money is not always the answer. Obviously, when I first started off with tree plantation, that was actually the first time when I figured out to do anything, you need money and to buy something, to be able to make something a reality. but I felt that there can be other ways to make it possible. And that's why I started accessing all the resources I could find, especially my heart and creativity. And through that now, in fact, this is an old picture. I've planted it just today. Today's Earth Day, right? Yes. Just today, I did a tree plantation drive on the occasion of Earth Day for farmers, and now I've planted more than 150,000 or 150,000 trees and mobilized 80,000 people across 20 countries through so many different events, activities, engaged 5,000 plus villagers and farmers, trying to create this difference. And as I told, I'm a very creative person. I also created a mangrove forest, and I even created my very own butterfly garden. So besides this, there has been one very good part about this global reach, that is positivity. 100% positivity. We don't believe in negativity. We don't believe in being sad about something, but being hopeful that we can make a difference. So in total, I told you a little bit about the obstacles that I faced, how was I able to start my journey. These are some of the places where I've been featured. And I have come not to the conclusion, but to this idea that no matter how small I might be, I might just be a 12-year-old girl if I look at it that way, or I could be a 12-year-old girl who is creating and leading a change. So, with that mindset, I've always been trying to empower myself. And I believe in the potential of a small 4 millimeter seed that can grow up into a 400 feet tall tree. The potential it has. So we all might be small seeds, but we have the power to grow and create a larger and much bigger change, a much bigger difference. Also, this was United Nations Climate Change Conference COP28. Last year, I was there at COP29 also in Azerbaijan, not just as the youngest delegate, but also as the youngest head of delegation, with my own NGO now accredited from UN. So finally, the call to action. I don't just like, talking for 15, 20 minutes and saying, okay, we need to make a difference. We should have hope. Bye-bye. No, I want you to do something and I want to take real action. And it's your turn now. So this is the part that you should really listen to. The Green Pillar, as I told you, is a platform through which we are providing climate education courses. And there are three things that, as a young person or as any person who wants to know about the climate, you can learn it, you can see it, and you can share it with other people as well. Be the Impact Creator is a course, which is an action plan for community service. So all you need to do is go on our website, www.thegreenpillar.com. And these are not just created by me, but by experts from around the world who specially curated this content in a very interesting form. Somewhere it is in text and videos and content. Sometimes it is in an entirely e-learning manner. So it is on our e-learning platform, learning management system platform, where you get to know about it. So you can go there and you can also see about it. This is the Be the Impact Creator. Yes, so that was about the course. And I encourage all of you to go online and do it. This is about the climate literacy, where you learn about the fundamentals of climate change, sustainability, and environmental solutions. And the best part is you can do it anytime, anywhere, and it is for everyone. An opportunity to learn through these lessons with visual lessons, resource repositories, study guides, trivia, even a quiz, an expert assessment, and a certificate of recognition. which gives you the opportunity to know about it from scratch through simple ways, but in good amount of detail. And then we have the Empower workshop, which we do sometimes, which is a 3 days live workshop online where we cover all these different points through how you can become a social entrepreneur yourself. So this is something that we do, but I would recommend that you can always do the 2 courses whenever you are free. And the part that I want all of you to do immediately after the session is this one. So I'm very happy to share that recently, I became an author. So as you can see behind me is the book. It is an illustrated storybook for children. It is available on Amazon and Flipkart worldwide, everywhere. You can get it, and it has this beautiful journey through illustrations with characters going through it, learning about it. So whether it is your child, your family, your nephew, or the child inside you, you are encouraged to read this, to know about it. It was launched in collaboration with Ministry of Tourism Brazil at the climate change conference in Baku. And you get an opportunity to know about indigenous communities, biodiversity, how you can do climate conservation. It was in fact launched with social influencers and a lot of world leaders who promoted this. And the best part is, it is not just a book. You are also supporting my new mission of planting 10 million trees. I know that is extremely ambitious, but each book will support me in this ambitious mission of mine. So if you think and believe I can do it, and if you really want to support me, please buy this book. Each book will support me in my mission of planting 10 million trees. I am doing something. I will send the link to all of you right away. It is available on Amazon and Flipkart. And I would like to conclude by saying that the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And social entrepreneurs invent a better future. So the planet really needs you, and it is time that together we all make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prasiddhi. That was incredibly inspiring, I think, for all of us. You could see everyone's faces just lit up as you were talking. I think we can now move on into a bit of the conversational part of the webinar. So I have a few questions, and then we can jump into audience Q&A.
Yes, I
but-
have just one thing.
Mhm.
I have put in the link, and I want all of you. I know I'm getting my sales skills a little bit over here, but I really want all of you to support me in this mission of mine. 1 second. Yes. So I've given you the worldwide link of US, but it is available in all the countries, so you can just change your location and access it.
That's great. Thank you so much, Prasiddhi. I'm sure we'll all go purchase this book as soon as this webinar is over. But I think one of the questions that I had, and you mentioned in your presentation that some of the barriers that you have been facing and faced in your journey is funding, building a team, access to resources. And I think some others that are common for youth working in this space is access to, policy-making spaces and a lack of trust, as you mentioned. So in your opinion, I think what ecosystem level shifts do we need in our country, and I think even on global platforms that can, make some of these barriers a little more accessible and encourage us, a world where youth action is just the norm?
Well, frankly, I have a very short answer to that. Firstly, I want to acknowledge that your question is about how young people can connect with our planet and solve these issues on a global level. Yes. So coming back to my short answer, the short answer is reconnect with nature and bring back the child in you. It is very simple, because if you touch the ground, if you spend time in nature, it's not always about researching, and it's not always about making a difference. It is, but it all starts with reconnecting with nature. And if you actually evoke that child inside you, give it an opportunity to imagine and learn, no matter what age you are right now, it will help you to do it. And that is what I've been trying to promote around the world so that we can create a web of young leaders who want to make change
Yeah, no,
and actually create this intergenerational impact, where a young person is telling adults about it, or adults are teaching young people about it. Fostering these conversations is what will make a difference.
yeah, I think I completely agree with you, and I can't emphasize enough. I think education is such an important way to impact children, especially in like those formative years. Making sure that public schools have like biodiversity curriculums and are teaching kids about like the nature and the world that they live in.
Exactly. I completely agree. Something I personally noticed was that, one second, was that on the rural level, a lot of this climate education is unavailable. In fact, even in most schools, actually. So what I did was that, as you mentioned in my introduction, being the child ambassador for Green Tamil Nadu Mission, which is the flagship mission of our chief minister, in 200 rural schools of Tamil Nadu, I started creating these green brigades where I gave a free fruit sapling to every child. In the local language of Tamil, I taught them about climate literacy, and I also explained to them how they connect with soil, how can they make a difference. I created a small forest in their school, and I feel that this is what needs to be replicated on a global level. Something I did that I think we all can do was also leverage social media in order to be able to promote this. So for instance, on my Instagram, on my LinkedIn, so that we are able to take it to the next level. I encourage all of you to follow me and know about that. And also leveraging my climate education platform, the Green Pillar, in which what I did was that, as I showed you, I give a lot of different climate courses created by experts, workshops, programs for all age groups, corporate, students, youth, everyone, so that we all are able to educate ourselves about our planet.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I think, the Green Pillar sounds like something that everyone, especially in schools and at a young age, should be engaging with. And I think another question that I had for you was, something on the lines of collaborating with, you've done an incredible job of working across the country to scale your action. But in terms of the global south, I think a lot of our countries face similar barriers. But there's also a power in collective action in the global south. So how do you imagine collaborating with youth in the global south and across the world to scale action to an even larger level? Is that something that you've thought about, and is that something that you've seen already?
Well, I think you rightly pointed out about Global South, which has been integral to most of climate discussions as well, whether it is in terms of the NDCs or whether it is in terms of the climate policies, working towards the Global South, working in ways where governments and individuals as well as corporates come together to make a difference is integral. But something I have felt is that in the Global South, we already have so many change makers. I mean, people who are already making a difference. Whether it is some of the people I can name right now, whether it is Melati Waizen in Indonesia, or if it is Louise Mabulo in the Philippines, or if it is, say, for instance, a lot of other people who are in India, people who are really making a difference, people who have been working towards it. And we need to ensure that all of these voices get an opportunity to showcase and share their work so that on a global level, we can take it to the next level. There are indigenous voices like Helena Gualinga who are showcasing it to the world, and they have also been given platforms. If we encourage this to every single child and every single individual, whether it is on a global forum or even on our dinner table, it really helps to foster a bigger and better overview to creating change in the global south.
Thank you, Prasiddhi. We have only a few minutes left, so I'm going to open up to the audience for any questions that you all might have. Feel free to unmute or just drop the question in the chat, and we can talk about it. Go ahead, Doug.
I would love to share your videos. There were 2 videos, right? With a dozen very old men like me who need to know how to energize and communicate very simply. And your videos did a great job. If you could give us the links to those, are they on YouTube or someplace?
The first one, yes, I can send it over to you right away.
Thank
Or
you. Yeah.
you can search on Google Prasiddhi and you will get it, or let me also send it to you.
Perfect. I can do that.
Yeah, on Google, if you search Prasiddhi, you will get the video.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think Leslie knows what I'm talking about.
I do.
I
I
didn't
can
hear
over-explain things, yes. I just wanted to congratulate you. I feel like we're kindred spirits, but man, I wouldn't have done this at 6 years old or 12 years old. This is just amazing, and boy, I'm so glad you've got this early start, and that the innovative, mindset that you have is just, it's inspiring. And this is what I try to do with the folks I teach, in college, and it's really valuable to see them lighting up with this. But how you lit your own spark like that at such a young age, congratulations! You're just amazing.
Thank you
And
so much. It is words and appreciation from people like you that really keeps me going and keeps me motivated to continue in this journey. Thank you so much. I've also sent the link that you asked for of the video in chat. Yes.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Hear me out?
Hello? Yes.
Actually, I'm just echoing what
We cannot hear you.
Am I not audible clearly?
I think it's a little faint. If you could come closer to the
Today
mic.
I'm using, I think, hand straight. That's maybe the reason. So let me just do it in a different way.
Could you maybe drop your comment?
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Can you hear
yes.
me?
A lot better, yeah.
Okay. So at the outset, I'd like to congratulate Prasiddhi. I think she has done a phenomenal job. My only query to her that whether she is involved in the Safe Soil program by Sadhguru, in the sense that is she also participating in the Kaveri calling and all that, because I myself participated in that kind of program. Secondly, that are she thinking the use of robotics? Actually, China has been doing, they're using robot for plantation of the tree in a mass scale. So if we have the free land and robot can be used very gainfully to plant the trees. Is that kind of thought process in her mind? And thirdly, and the last question is that, is it not important when the government authorities are taking the key decision in the climate change? What is her thought process, and what is your thought process, Prasiddhi, that young people also think in participating in the government process and participating in the government so that they can take the key decision in the future, because future is really very bleak, and within 23 years, as per projections, that we are going to touch this 2-degree average temperature. It's really a wake-up call for the all people. Is a climate emergency. And I would like to know her thought process on these issues.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, firstly, for your appreciation and kind words. So firstly, answering your first question, what you mentioned about Save Soil, there have been actually a couple of things that I did. I first met Sadhguru in 2023 at COP28 in Dubai, where I met him. I spoke to him. We had a beautiful conversation. He invited me to collaborate on Kaveri calling, and we did a couple of things on that together. Then after that, later on, what also happened was that I was invited by Save Soil movement to there, because I'm also prominent on my social media on Instagram for promoting about the environment. I was invited for their content creators retreat in Coimbatore in Isha, where again I collaborated with Safe Soil to promote the work that they're doing and to explore other possibilities. And in COP29, I actually collaborated with Safe Soil to do a full-fledged session, inviting global people who are making a difference to talk about the future voices of soil, which also answers your third question about how young people are being involved in these decision-making processes. So through such conversations, and this was in person in COP29 in Azerbaijan, where I hosted this event, in the Save Soil, through this, we are getting an opportunity to showcase our opinions, to showcase how are we making a difference. And in fact, even this book, Sadhguru has also promoted about this book on his social media. And you see there is a photograph of it. He even shared it on his social media. So there have been a lot of ways that we've been collaborating. Then coming to your second question, which you asked about technology and technological advancements, I completely agree with you. I feel that it is so important to include these things, and I have already been doing that. For instance, on ground, as well as in bringing climate solutions and making it more accessible. And besides that, I feel that it is so important to include things like AI. And there have been multiple new projects that I've been working on, which I cannot give any spoilers about right now, but I will be sharing very soon. So I recommend you that you probably follow me or stay tuned on my website, where we will be sharing more and more details. Then finally, for your third question, which you asked about policy making, I think people like me, we getting an opportunity itself is something that makes it so much better. And to make it even better, I host a lot of other different challenges, competitions, activities through which children, maybe you're not able to go to United Nations, or maybe you're not able to go to G20 or conferences, but you can always give us those valuable ideas, which then young leaders, not just me, but other young leaders, people like Arushi, can share wherever they go and help promote it on a global scale. So that is something that I feel is incredibly needed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Inspiration to all of us.
Thank you so much. I need to run for a meeting in a couple of minutes, so maybe.
I'm going to take just 1 minute, Prasiddhi. Thank you for this amazing presentation. I just wanted to share that, Prasiddhi reached out to me on LinkedIn some years back, and then we set up a meeting for COP28 in Dubai. And then on the last day, I was sitting, taking the train back to my hotel, and suddenly, hi. And then I was really shocked to see how young she was, because I never, found out exactly how young she was, or, and it was, we had a great conversation. I also met her father, and I'm so glad that we got this opportunity today to, share your vision and your amazing achievements with this group who are very close to me. So thank you, Prasiddhi. And thank you, Arushi. Great job.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank
much.
you.
The pleasure is mine. It was so good meeting you that day as well, and being able to connect with you, have that conversation, and I can't wait to do a lot of more things together.
Thank you.
Tuti, and thank you
Yeah, thank you.
everyone in the audience as well for being here on Earth Day. I'm so glad we got to spend this time together and get inspired by your work, and talk about, our questions. But thank you also to the Healthy Climate Initiative for hosting this. And I hope we'll meet again at future webinars.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really am inspired.
Thank you so much. Namaste from India. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Namaste. Bye-bye.
Namaste.